Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. This is going to be video number 43, inshallah. Now, today we're going to be talking about Form 5. And I went ahead and put the difference, what's going to be coming in Form 5 for us. It is the extra ta plus a shadda. So what is a shadda means? It's going to be two of that specific letter that's going to be in that verb, whatever it is. So it's going to be doubled. So, for example, we have, I'll just give you the example for the basic root letter that we have. So for this one, we have fa, ka, ra, right? Fa, ka, ra. Meaning it means to think. Fakara, which is of course it's past tense verb. This is the Maldi version. Fakara means that he thought, but that's what it means, to think. Fakara. So now we're going to write this in Form 5. So notice in Form 5, the first thing we're going to do is we're adding a ta. So we're adding a ta here, and then we have the fa, and then the ka. Now this, if we follow the fa kalima, ain kalima, lam kalima, the ain kalima is doubled. So which in here, this is not part of our basic root. So this is added extra. So we come to the basic fa kalima, ain kalima, lam kalima. So the ain kalima, which in this case is a kaf, is doubled. So we have to do another kaf and then the ra. So this is all what is added here. So this, the way we write it now, we write it as, we're going to merge these two with the shadda. So we write it as tafakkara, tafakkara, tafakkara. So this is how we would write it. All right, so let's move this here. Now that we know how to write it. Okay, so let's move over here. Put it in the proper place. This means to think, to reflect, tafakkara. Tafakkara. Yatafakkaru, you follow the same pattern. Yatafakkaru. Tafakkara, yatafakkaru. And then I'm not doing the other 5-column version, so we're just doing the Maldi Mudari version. And this means to reflect, to think over. Reflect. Okay. Now that we know how to construct it, then it should be easy for the next verb. I should write the basic root letter here, so we won't forget it. And then the next verb we have is ذكر. ذكر means to warn, to remember. Okay, so that's what that means. تذكر. So now we have to put this in this form, Form 5. It becomes تذكر. تذكر. تذكر، يتذكر، تذكر، يتذكر. Okay, this means to remember, like the word dhikr comes from here, remembers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To warn also means to warn. Okay. Next verb we have is tawakkala. The root is wakala. So we put it in this form, tawakkala. توكل يتوكل يتوكل توكل يتوكل. And then this means to put one's trust, to put your trust. Okay, توكلت على الله. Next verb is تبين. Root is, oops, let's write this properly. Bayana. So it becomes تبين. تبين. يتبين. تبين يتبين. Okay, so this means to become clear. Clear. Bayinat, like we hear the word bayinat, signs. Okay, next one is tarabbasa. So the root is ra, ba, and sa. Ra, ba, and sad. Tarabbasa, to wait and watch. Oops, sorry. تربص يتربص يتربص تربص يتربص. And then ربص is the root. It means to wait and watch for the opportunity. For opportunity. Okay. That's what that means. All right. Let's go over it real quick. We only have, I think, 2 more in this form, and then we are done, inshallah. So we have form 5. What's added is extra ta in the beginning, and then the ayn kalima becomes doubled. It takes a shadda. So in this case, we have fakara, which means that he thought. So when we put in a form 5, then we have to add the ta in the front, which is extra, and then the ayn kalima, which is the kaf in this case, is doubled. That's why you're seeing the shadda there. So you read it as tafakkara yatafakkaru, meaning to think over, reflect. Tadhakkara yatadhakkaru, to warn and to remember. Tawakkala yatawakkalu, to put your trust. Tabayyana yatabayyanu, to make clear. And then tarabbasa yatarabbasu, to wait for the opportunity or for an opportunity. All right, I'm going to clean the board and we'll be right back. Okay, the last 2 verbs we have, it's those, weird, I shouldn't call it weird, but they usually starts with a wow or they have a yeah. So these are like the naqis verbs that they go through some changes. But we only have 2 here that we have to focus on. So the first one is tawalla. The root is wa, la, waw, lam, and ya. And then the next one I have is waw, fa, and ya. So notice one starts with a waw and ends with that, with the ya. One starts with the waw again, ends with the ya. So wala, and then wafa. So we're going to put it in form 5. So it becomes tawalla. Tawalla. Yatawalla. Yeah. Yatawalla. Okay. And this means to turn away. also means to take a friend. The root letter here again is like wali. Wali is someone that's close, like a close friend. That's why I always say that Arabic words, there are so many meanings to them. Like you're probably thinking turning away and having a friend has nothing in common, but just kind of know that there's different meaning for these verbs. The next one we have is, we already give the root is wafaya, so it becomes tawaffa. Tawaffa. Yatawaffa. Tawaffa yatawaffa. This means to make somebody die, meaning like the word we have faut, right? So that's what that means. To make somebody die, or it also means to receive in full. In full. Okay. And sometimes you can figure out the meaning from the context of what you're reciting or reading. And if you, that's why it's so good, really, really a good idea to know as much vocabulary when you're studying the Quran. Like this book that we're working on, if you guys inshallah master this little tiny little booklet, this is the booklet that we've been going over since the beginning of our classes, the 80% of the Quranic words, inshallah, then it becomes a lot easier. So because most of the words in the Quran are repeated so many times, and it makes it so much easier for us to remember. And I think that's another reason that why some people are so but it comes so easy for them to memorize the Quran, because so many words are repeated again and again and again. So and it becomes a lot easier to do that. So my point was that if we just kind of focus, even if you're having difficulty in all of these other forms, like form anything from above form 1, any of the other forms, if you have difficulty, which is understandable, I can understand. But if you guys can just at least know the basic, remember we talked about that 6 basic patterns that we learn in the beginning of the basic 3-letter root verbs that are constructed. Inshallah, if you master those, then you can come across all of the other ones, and your mind will tell you automatically, you will recognize the roots, and then then you can divide and dissect the other verbs that are not verbs, the other letters that are added in there, and you can quickly do this. The only way this is going to happen, inshallah, is if you do a lot of practice. You have to give yourself a lot of time, allow yourself time to daily. If you can't do it daily, at least every other day, you have to kind of go over your notes, review. If you have to watch the videos again, or if you have your little booklet. For me, it works as if I'm just sitting in a nice quiet place, no distraction. Perhaps you can have your coffee or tea or whatever, your beverages. You can just sit there somewhere quiet. You could probably go sit somewhere outside, or if it's a nice day, just take your booklet with you and just get little sections. And it's nice because in this book, everything is already like separated for you. And if we go in the beginning of this booklet, I'm just going to show you real quick. See like how this is like divided into 4 sections. So you can just take your book with you and just study this part, like one day or a couple of days, go over this and just repeat it again and again and again. And then what you could do is once you memorize this part, like in a day or two, have someone, if you have difficulty doing it on your own, have someone test you. Just say, can you please ask me these, so I can have the right meaning, test me on these things. And once you do that, inshallah, once you memorize these words and the meaning of what they are, then quickly go and open the Quran and then see if you can find, you'll find it everywhere. And so you can spot these letters, not letters, these words, and then apply the meaning. And it's such a great feeling to be able to recognize the words and the verbs in the Quran, and then go from there. So, and then once you do this, you can spot these in the Quran in different surahs or whatever you're reading. They're all over the place, so you shouldn't have a difficulty finding these. Once you do that and you understand the meaning, and then move on to the next section. So, and then the next day or so, then you focus on just this one section. You don't have to overwhelm yourself with a lot of like, oh my God, I gotta like memorize a whole bunch of stuff. That can never be achieved, because if you think about the whole thing all at once, it becomes overwhelming. But step by step, day by day, just little bits and pieces. That's why they have it separated in these little sections, so it makes it easier for you to just go over it. It shouldn't take you but 5 minutes to go over this and repeat it several times, and then inshallah memorize it. And once you do that, then you move on. See, everything is already separated here for you. 4 boxes. So you can just take a box every day or every couple of days, and then go and memorize it that way. And before you know it, you'll be done with this booklet, and then guess what, you've memorized pretty much 80% of the Quran. Yeah, it's not difficult. It really is not difficult. And the important thing is that once you do this, you have to keep up with it. And like anything that we do, if we don't practice it, you'll become rusty in it and you'll forget. And same thing applies here. And if you're doing all this hard work and memorizing all these words and verbs and everything, and the meaning, and but then, okay, it's like, all right, I got to understand everything and I'm done. So you put it away on the shelf, and then you don't put it in practice. You don't do it on a daily basis. Opening the Quran and try to find these words and recite the Quran and see how much of the words you know. If you don't do this, then it becomes difficult, and we tend to forget a lot of the words. So then that means you have to start again, and you have to do this again. So hopefully, inshallah, we don't have to do that. I think the best thing to do as you go every day, you just practice, open the Quran and apply these words, even these words that you learn. I mean, if you have your notes, I would just go and find them in the Quran. And it's such a great feeling to find it, and you figure out like, oh, this is form 5 or this is form 4, and this is added to this verb. This is the root letter of this word. And imagine, that's just amazing if we could do that, inshallah. All right, so this is it in form 5. Like I said, form 5 was pretty short list. We only had, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7. We only had like 7 verbs that are most commonly repeated in the Quran in this form, which we covered all of them. So inshallah, the next form would be form 6, which we really don't have a whole lot in form 6. I think there's only like form 6 and 7 are very, very few. I mean, like almost none. So, but it's the verbs that are used, it's most repeated, so we have to cover it, but there's not a whole lot of verbs in there. So inshallah, on the next video, those are the 2 things that I'm going to be focusing on, form 6 and 7, and then we go to the other ones, inshallah. So then there's not a lot. All right, until next video, assalamu alaikum.